Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Courtney King, and today's short talk is going to be about how to ace your first job interview in tech. I have talked a lot about different jobs in tech and how to get your first interview in tech, applying for enough jobs, etc., etc. But I haven't really spoken about how you should conduct yourself within an interview. So today I'm going to go over some tips for this that I think are generally good for many different industries, right? Not directly related to tech, but on this channel, we talk mostly about tech. So I want to help you guys out with a few things that I have learned through my experience, good and bad. I've received feedback that's good. I've received feedback that's bad. And I have also spoken to and worked with a couple interview coaches and just career coaches in general. So I've distilled that into a couple of points that I would like you guys to be aware of. So let's jump right in and let's talk about it. So you have your first interview in tech. You're all excited, but also a little nervous because you're like, what am I going to do? How am I supposed to handle this? You know, if this interview is for an entry-level role, I think the pressure's a lot lower. Why? Because they're not really expecting you to know anything about how to do the role typically. And if it is for if you are a more educated or advanced in your career sort of candidate, then I think that the standards will be a little higher. This group of tips is meant to be useful for anyone, no matter where they are on their career trajectory. So let's just start with the first one. This is super simple, but I have actually been guilty of not doing this. Make sure you have read the job posting thoroughly. Sometimes when you're applying for jobs, it's easy to just be on autopilot and you're applying for so many and you've looked at so many job postings that you don't really even remember what they say or exactly what is in them. So before your interview, maybe like a couple minutes before, just go back and read thoroughly the job posting so you understand exactly what it is that they're looking for, what the job entails, what they're going to be asking of you in terms of responsibilities. There's likely going to be some details in there that you missed the first time around, and that's fine. As you're reading through the job posting, write down questions that come to you. There's going to be questions that pop up. You're like, what do they mean by that? Or et cetera, et cetera. You want to have questions to ask on your job interviews. That's huge. You never want to get off of an interview. And when they say, so what about you? What questions do you have for me today? You never want to be like, nothing. It just makes you look like a not very prepared person, a not very detail-oriented person, and someone who's not very thoughtful. So even if you have to make up some questions that you don't really need the answer to, or you already know the answer to, make sure you have questions to ask. And you can start compiling these questions when you're reading through the job posting and there's something that you don't understand. Don't be stressed out by the fact that you don't understand it, and don't try and pretend like you do understand something that you don't. Just ask. I think they'll be happy about that. Make sure you research the company thoroughly. Go to the company's website and just read as much as you can about the company itself. Make sure that you understand what it is they do. Now, this goes a step past just saying, well, they make software, right? Or like they provide IT services. That's not enough. You want to understand and be able to articulate the company's value proposition. What does that mean? The value proposition is the value that that company intends to bring to the market or to its customers. Specifically, what problem are they helping their customers solve, right? That's what a value proposition is. What problem are they helping their customers solve? You need to be able to articulate that. If you get in a job interview and you can't really articulate that, that's a problem. Go to the company's career page. Most companies are going to have a whole part of their website that is dedicated to careers. And it'll typically tell you there'll be a bunch of marketing stuff on it, essentially about their company culture and why it's so amazing, and maybe the benefits that are available to you if you work there. And maybe it will go into depth about the different roles that they have open, et cetera, et cetera. Go to that careers page, read through it. Make sure you do get an understanding for what their company culture is. They're likely going to have a list of company values or principles that guide them on that careers page. Again, that page is meant to be essentially a marketing vehicle so that they can recruit people. So they're going to have lots of interesting information on there. Write down some of those company values that resonate with you. Write them down. Choose ones that actually resonate with you, not just, ones that you're making up, and make sure you touch on them during the interview. That's really important. You want to be able to connect yourself to the company's culture as it is today. Part of what the interviewer is going to be doing is sort of feeling out the situation to see if you're a cultural fit for the company. So not just if you have the concrete skills to do the job, but does it seem like you would fit in with the team? Does it seem like you have the same general values and principles as the rest of the team? Some interviewers will be better at this than others, but it is your job to make it clear that you will fit into the company culture. And the easiest way to do that is go to the company's career page, look at their list of values, write down one or two that resonate with you, and bring them up during the interview. Don't be shy about this. After you've done all this research, you want to think about your past experience, maybe take a glance at your resume, because likely this first interview is going to be a screening call with the recruiter. That's usually what happens. It's a screening call with the recruiter, essentially to talk to you a little bit about your background, not super in depth, but a little bit about your background, tell you a little bit about the role, and just see at a base level, is this a fit? Is this a fit for the company? And is this a fit for you? Are you guys aligned on this, right? That's what that first interview is. So think about how your past experience directly relates to the role that you're interviewing for. This does not always have to be work experience. Again, if this is for an entry-level role, and specifically if the role requires no work experience, or you know what I mean, then you do not have to say, well, I'm 18, I don't really have work experience, so nothing I've ever done relates. You're going to have to think of something. Have you ever been a part of a team or a club or an organization? Have you ever volunteered for anything? If you are in school, right, in college, or you graduated college, or you didn't graduate college, whatever the case is, you're going to think about how some of your life experiences somewhere relate to the role that you are interviewing for. What skills have you been able to pick up over the course of your life that you think would be helpful for this role? If you cannot articulate that, you're in trouble. Same thing if you're coming into tech from another industry. Maybe you're coming in and you have a career already in another industry. Or maybe you have a degree in something and it's not really related to tech, but you're coming in, you have something in your background. You're going to have to be able to relate that stuff to the job that you are interviewing for. Guys, of all of these tips, that is probably the most important and the one that people screw up the most. They do not make it clear to the interviewer that they're a good fit for the role and why. That's on you, right? It's not on the interviewer to try and pull answers and information out of you and discover why you're good at the role. You want to sell yourself. You want to market yourself. This is why I would be good for this role, right? That part of it is on you. So I will repeat it again. Think about your past experience, whether that's work experience or educational experience or just general life experience, and be able to articulate how that directly relates to the role you're interviewing for. My next tip, never ever speak poorly about your past employers, your past coworkers, your past leadership, none of it. Unless you are specifically asked a question. Like you might be asked a question like, what challenges at your previous job did you face with such and such? That's not an excuse to talk bad about anyone, but then yes, that might give you the opportunity to reflect on the job you were in and maybe some of the things that weren't a fit for you. However, don't ever speak poorly about any of your past employers, even if they were terrible, even if you worked for like garbage trash companies and you had an abusive boss, do not bring it up. You want to bring it up. What you want to bring up about your past companies is whatever skills you were able to pick up from that company that you are now bringing to this new role that you're interviewing for. That's it. You don't want to go into any detail about how they were unfair or how you were treated poorly or about how your leaders were stupid, even if that was true. That's a huge red flag. It will get you eliminated almost immediately because it's just a bad look. You look like a bitter, sort of like toxic person. Don't do that. And then my last tip, So you want to seem enthusiastic about the role. This is something that I had to learn. Off camera, I can be a little bit robotic. If you know me personally, you know that. So I have to put on quite a bit of enthusiasm when I'm working or when I'm interviewing or just like dealing with customers or coworkers, because I want people to know that I'm in a good mood. Sometimes it's actually not apparent to them. So make sure that you seem enthusiastic about the role specifically, like you are charged up by the idea of this new challenge, but you do not want to appear desperate. Now, this is sort of a delicate balance because, truth be told, a lot of times when you're looking for a new job, you are desperate. We can all relate to that. But you don't want to appear desperate. You want to avoid phrases like, I really need this job. Don't say that. I can't wait to leave my current job, or I can't wait to leave my current industry, or I can't wait to be done with school so that I can just, get on with my life. You don't want to say stuff like that, right? You don't want to openly complain about how hard the job market is and how long it's taken you to get a role. Even though that's true, the job market can be tough and sometimes it does take you a long time to get a role. You want to come to it from a place of gratefulness and enthusiasm and positivity, right? Overall, what you're trying to communicate to this interviewer, no matter how many interview phases you go through, every interviewer you talk to, you want to give them the impression that you would be someone they would want to work with. Like they would be kind of happy to show up every day and you're on the team. You don't want to give off the impression that you are a pessimistic person. You do not want to give off the impression that you are a complainer. Nobody likes working with a complainer, right? You want to seem enthusiastic. You want to seem positive about your life, right? And not desperate, right? Desperation is something that people can smell on you in all sorts of different contexts, especially when you're interviewing for a job. What is concerning when a candidate seems desperate is that they're not being sincere and they will say or do anything to get this job, even if it's not truthful, right? You want to seem authentic, not like, oh my gosh, I have to get this job or I'm going to completely lose it. So whatever you say, yes, the answer is yes. You do not want to appear desperate. So try your best to be calm, go in there with a good attitude and try and speak positively about your past. Try and speak positively about the future. And again, generally give the interviewer the idea that it would be fun to work with you. You would be a good hire, right? Not someone who's going to moan and complain all the time. Okay, guys, I hope this was helpful. I'm going to be making a couple more videos about interviewing because I think it's so important. That step is so important. It's hard to get an interview sometimes in tech. It can take you a lot of work just to get that interview. So I want you guys to ace it. My next video is actually going to be about red flags to look out for on your side as a candidate, right? Red flags about the company that you want to look out for when you're in a job interview. Sometimes you are in an interview with a company that you do not want to work for. And so I want to give you some tips on how to spot that kind of company. Look out for that. That's going to be coming out in a few days. Other than that, please guys, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to be notified of new content. That really helps me out with the algorithm. You know the spiel, so just go ahead and do the damn thing. Other than that, thank you for watching this one, guys. I will see you in the next video.